Chair, hard position there.
Do it.
All right, I will call to order the February 18th, 2025 meeting of the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission, and I will note we have a quorum. Next item on the agenda are the disposition of minutes from the February 4th, 2025 meeting.
Madam Chair, member of the committee, we have a copy of the minutes from the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission meeting of February 4th, 2025. I've reviewed those. They are accurate. I move acceptance of the minutes as provided.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, prosecutor's recommendations.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, we have a report from the prosecutor indicating alcohol and tobacco fines collected. There were 63 of them in this interim. There was $38,000 exactly in fines issued. There were two that are noteworthy. The first is a tobacco permit from Jennings County, JLG Food Mart, indicating the number of complaints from school officials and others about selling of tobacco to minors. A compliance check was held, and the clerk sold to a minor a vape product. This was a continuation of several violations regarding sale of vape and tobacco products. Parties have agreed to a $2,000 civil penalty and a 3-day suspension. The second worthy of note is also a tobacco certificate in Mishawaka, St. Joe County, MS Ahula LLC. On October, there was a tobacco compliance check. Female with the officers underage at 17 purchased a pack of Swisher Sweets cigarillos. Did not ask for age or identification. Third violation, the parties have agreed to $1,000 civil penalty and a 3-day suspension. I move acceptance of the prosecutor's report.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, there is one hearing judge recommendation for DL 83-33588, Casey's Marketing Company.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, on October 10th, 2024, I heard this appeal of the denial of a permit. The only witnesses present were Ms. Lieber, who was the district manager for applicant. There were two prior remonstrators at the local board hearing. The local board denied the permit or recommended denial of the permit 4-0. The two remonstrators who were present were also competitors in the city of, or the town of Cuyahoga, Indiana. Evidence was presented, including numerous exhibits. At the hearing, those two remonstrators did not appear, and the reason they did not appear is because during the pendency of the case, at pre-hearing conferences, both of those remonstrators had withdrawn their objections to the hearing. They had testified at the local board, and one in particular had testified how the granting of this permit would damage his business. However, since that time, he in fact made statements to me as well as to Mr. Kirkman, who represented the permittee in this case, that in fact his business would not be hurt by the granting of this permit. I would move, while I'm talking about it, to amend my proposed findings. Finding of fact number 15, as pointed out by Judge Payne, has an incorrect date in it. I appreciate that, Judge Payne. As it states, applicant participated in the ATC's 2023 permit auction on December 19th. The findings of fact state 2024. In fact, it should say December 19th, 2023. So I would move to amend my order accordingly. Thank you. And also at the meeting on March follow-up, we had approved the denial, or we had followed the recommendation of the local board to deny the permit. Obviously, that's how the appeal happened. There was no evidence or testimony at the hearing that applicant is not qualified to hold a permit. There was no evidence that the premises or the location of the permit premises, proposed permit premises, would be inappropriate either. It's clear under law that competition between permittees is not a valid reason in and of itself for denying the permit. Reasonable competition, in fact, helps protect and promote economic welfare, is not inconsistent with the Commission's purpose of inter alia regulating and limiting the manufacture, sale, possession, and use of alcohol. As I stated, the remonstrator's testimony provided at the local board hearing is contradicted by their subsequent statements that the granting of the permits would not harm their business. I found that no evidence was provided that the granting of the permit would in any way be inappropriate. I found the facts and law to be with the applicant. Because there is now no substantial or reliable evidence against the issuance of the permit, the decision by me to deny or by the commission, I say, to deny the application would not be supported by substantial evidence and would be arbitrary and capricious. Therefore, I move that the evidence produced at the appeal hearing is in favor of the applicant. The appeal of Casey's Marketing Company, DBA Casey's General Store, number 1912, for permit number DL 8333588 be granted, and the type 115 permit applied for its location in Cayuga should be granted.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, to both amend the findings and, adopt the amended findings as submitted. We'll take both of those motions together. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Both motions carry.
Madam Chair, may I just say, Commissioner Jones, this was the most succinct, precise, and professional document I've seen in a long time. I just want to congratulate you and hope that others will look at this as a model that they should use.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Some thanks there go to Mr. Kirkman, who provided me with a proposed order as well.
Oh, okay.
Not that I copied it really, because I didn't. I butchered it pretty well, but it was a big help. Thank you, Mr. Kirk.
Consideration of applications, 666 renewal applications.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, I incorporate by reference this list of 666 applications for renewal. They've been recommended by local boards and reviewed by said staff with authority of the commission. I hereby move for approval of the same pending any needed escrow hearings, and further move for inclusion of this list as part of today's minutes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. 79 new and transfer applications.
I also incorporate by reference this list of 79 permit applications for a new permit or applications for changes in ownership or location or both. Those being of existing permits. Those have been recommended by local boards and reviewed by commissioner. I hereby move for approval of the same, pending a final floor plan approval by the state excise police and an escrow hearing if needed. Further move for inclusion of this list as part of today's minutes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. 47 catering applications.
I incorporate by reference the list of 47 permit applications for catering. I hereby move for approval of the same and inclusion of this list as part of the minutes of today's meeting.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. 31 carrier applications.
I further incorporate by reference this list of 31 new and renewal carrier permits. I hereby move for approval of the same and for inclusion of this list as part of today's minutes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item, one direct wine shipper application.
I incorporate by reference the list of that one new and renewal direct wine shipper permit. Hereby move for approval of the same and inclusion of this list, as long as it is, as part of the minutes of today's meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I'm glad we didn't have to read that whole list.
Yeah.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item, waivers of fees for letters of extension.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, we've received the document waivers of fees for letters of extension. I move acceptance of the report.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Items for discussion. The first item for discussion is RR 0235375, DG Properties 20 LLC. This is a denied escrow request / reconsideration of prior approval of the permit renewal following failures to appear. I will open that matter for discussion.
Yes, this permit is up in Fort Wayne. It's a 210 permit, beer, wine and liquor. It expired September 15th of 24. It's been in escrow since September 15th of 2021. They did fail to appear at our November and January most recent escrow meetings. They did hire an attorney, and the attorney submitted letter and proof of sworn affidavits showing that the owner was out of the country during the last escrow meeting and didn't receive the first one. They've asked for more time to appear for the escrow hearing, and I'm going to allow one additional time for them to appear to give them a chance to obtain their last year of escrow. And that meeting will be on March the 25th of 2025. So I move strict compliance for one remaining chance to appear for the escrow hearing on March 25th of 2025.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 7103567 Lynn Corporation. This matter comes on for a reconsideration of the prior approval of renewal application and an extension request.
Yes, this permit expired February 9th of 2024. It had violations. It should have gone before the local board to discuss those violations with the renewal. And it was inadvertently renewed. And due to that, I'm going to, I do want to point out that this owner has 39 permits, and when people have that many permits, I do like to see that they don't have violations. They should know all the rules and be able to easily comply with them. The violations on this have to do with a restaurant that has grandfathered carryout, and on the carryout side, they are open when the restaurant is not, and that is against our laws. The restaurant has to be open and serving food in order for any alcohol to be sold at this location. Just want to remind everybody of that, but certainly with this operator, they should know that they need to have the restaurant open. They have hired somebody new to run the restaurant. Seems like she's got a good background for it. Don't see problems with the restaurant side. It's the carry out of the alcohol that's the problem. So, but with that, what I'm going to move today is that we rescind the inadvertent renewal. So it'll go back to a February 9th of 2020 for expiration date. And then it needs an extension in order to be operating so that they can get through the local board. So I'm going to move that we grant a fee waive 90-day extension. Excuse me. And that we also schedule it for the local board so that they can look at the violation and see what they want to recommend on this renewal for RR 7103567 Lynn Corporation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for consideration is RR 4906959 Hat Enterprises or HAT Enterprises. This is a request to transfer a denied permit and an extension request.
Yes, this is here in Indianapolis. This business had had some very serious violations and shootings. They did close down. We did deny renewal of the permit and has not been operating since October of 24. They are asking for the chance to transfer this permit. I think that's a great idea. Get somebody new in to own and operate this business. And I'm going to move that we do approve paperwork to be filed so that they can, so that we can look at an arm's length transfer of this permit. But I am going to recommend a no to the extension I don't think any of us want to see the current owners involved with any operations, even though they would hire a different manager. Still the owner who would be ultimately responsible, and I don't think anybody's prepared, or I'm not prepared for them to be in operation again. So yes to beginning the process to file a transfer, and no to the extension for RR 49065959 HAT Enterprises.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I would just state that, I'm gonna abstain on that portion, sorry, of applicant's motion regarding an extension, because I do have the appeal of this matter pending in front of me. However, I don't think I'm in a conflict in order to recommend the permission to transfer. The applicant has done a lot of work on premises, put it in a good position to be transferred. The lone remonstrator who was left has toured the facility, talked to the hoped to be new owner, and that former remonstrator is now in favor of the business reopening under a different business model, that being the sports bar. So I'm definitely in favor of the transfer.
I would just note, I think it was stated that they've been non-operational since October of 24. I think it was prior to 24 that they shut down and have been working on that remodeling. So I would just note that for the record. We'll take the motion as two motions, if that's okay. The first motion is on the request to allow transfer of the denied permit. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. The second is on the extension request to operate under the current ownership. The motion was to deny the request for extension to operate on the current ownership. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. I will show that as with one abstention. The next permit is RR 79300018, John Lee Board LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request. However, the local board did recommend renewal on February 12th. And that was in the list of renewals we already approved today. So I will show that extension is no longer needed. Moving on to the next item for discussion, it is RR 4937227, the Salty Lemon. This matter comes on for an extension request. They also have catering permit C2 4931679.
Yes, this is here in Marion County. They did expire on November 20th of 24. They did have violations. The permit was denied, and they have filed an appeal. That was filed on January the 8th of this year. They have had a pre-hearing conference that was on February 10th. They have a second pre-hearing conference scheduled for March the 10th. They are operating under an extension which goes through today. It'll expire today. And they seem as if they timely filed appeal. They're timely participating in resolving issues with us. So for the purposes of just an extension to continue operating right now, while this is under review, I'm going to move that we grant the extension for this permit, RR 4937227, the Salty Lemon. And for the catering permit, the CT 4931679.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I'm abstaining only because I've got this case in front of me.
I would just note that granting this extension is not dictating how the appeal hearing will go. The appeal hearing will still be determined based on whether the local board decision was arbitrary, capricious, and the list of standards for those appeal hearings. We did receive the corrective action plan. I'm gonna vote yes today based on the corrective action plan and the permittee's understanding of what the expectations are of operating an alcohol permit and holding that, the privilege of that permit. I believe there have been some concerns in addition to what's addressed in the corrective action plan about the short amount of time the video lasts at the premises. So I would ask that they possibly take a look at that. It's been my past experience, and I can't speak to what's happening with this permittee, but it's been my past experience that when videos are set to delete within a very short time frame, there may be some intention behind that. Again, I can't speak to what's happening here, but that's based on my prior experience. That's where my concern is coming from with that short delete time on the videos.
If I may comment, that's a good point. I did not know that was an issue, but I did want to say that shortly after I got on the commission, we started really looking at corrective action plans, and in my opinion, too many of them just reasserted that they will follow the law. This one, I think, well covered any concerns that we might have about their operation. I was pleased to see it was so detailed in the sessions made.
And that's the reason I'm voting yes, on the extension today. With that, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries, and I will show that as 3-0 with one abstention.
Thank you.
The next two permits, I'll call them together. If you take motions separate or together, that's fine, but they are, well, I'll call them separately because they are separate owners. The first one is RR 49365928501 Pendleton Club LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request.
Yes, this permit is here in Marion County, a 210 permit. It's an adult entertainment place. It did expire November 1st of 24. It did receive an extension, continue operating until February 1st, and then a second extension to continue operating until February 20th. It did have violations dealing with adult entertainment records and minimum food. It did come before the local board due to a violation. It was set to be heard January 6th of this year due to weather problems. It was moved to February 3rd. And February 3rd, the local board asked for owners to appear and discuss the violations. There were no owners present. They did reschedule to March the 3rd and ask owners to come back and appear at that time. So they do need an extension to get through that local board hearing and then for that permit to come back in front of us. And that would be the date of March the 18th. Excuse me. I'm gonna move that we do grant an extension until March the 18th of this year. If it does need to go any longer than that, I'm gonna look at needing a corrective action plan. But we'll wait and see what the local board recommends. And again, we're just granting this to get through the local board process, continue operating there, and then wait and see what that recommendation is from the local board on what we do with this permit. The next permit is I'll just go ahead and make the motion for that one for RR 4936592805001 Pendleton Club LLC.
Sorry.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next permit, RR 49365947259 Pendleton Club LLC. This matter also comes on for an extension request.
This business separate permit had very similar, has the same expiration date, the same extensions, and kind of the same problems with the adult entertainment records and the minimum food and the rescheduling at the local board. So I'm going to move that we grant a this extension until March the 18th, so we can get in front of the local board. They have requested at the local board that ownership be represented there to discuss the violation. So just want to make sure that they know, somebody in ownership needs to appear at the local board on March the 3rd. And then, we'll take that matter up again on March the 18th when it gets through the local board process. So extension to get through that local board process for RR 49-36594 7259 Pendleton Club LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next matter comes on for RC 7107828 Civic and Democratic Club of Clay Township, St. Joseph County, Indiana Incorporated. This matter comes on for an extension request.
Yes, this is up in St. Joe. It did expire on November the 15th of 24. They do have a first extension going through February, went through February the 13th of 25. They do have 2 violations that have been resolved. They had to do with non-members at this social club and minors being served alcohol. This permit does have a hold on it. The hold is because the extension request was not signed by somebody who's listed as on the permit as one of the owners. And the F1 is missing the full permit holder's name. So I'm going to go ahead and approve an extension on this, but they do need to take care of those 2 paperwork issues. So conditional approval on those paperwork issues being taken care of, an extension granted for RC 7107828 Clay Township Civic and Democratic Club of Clay Township, St. Joseph County, Indiana, Inc.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? I would just note that sometimes on these fraternal clubs, I think this is fraternal, the quote unquote ownership changes with new officer elections. If the signature is correct, then the paperwork we need is actually the information on the updated officers. So I would just note that we need one or the other on that. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is DL 2894299, Coasaline Marketing LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request. I will open that matter for discussion.
This is Beer Wine Grocery in Linton. They did expire November the 15th of 24. They did have an extension that took them through February the 15th. They're operating under a letter of authority that goes through today. They do not have a violation. They had ownership updates, and they have, as of yesterday, provided us with what looks to be extensive ownership update. Legal has not had a chance yet to review that. Hopefully that'll take care of that and they won't need any further extensions past this one. But I am going to move that we grant a 90-day extension for DL 2894299 Coasaline Marketing LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next, inactive files. So the first item is 42 permits to be made inactive from the February 4th, 2025 meeting. I will note that that does remove DL 2932925, RR 4938780, and RR 4194243, which we've received documentation on since they were announced at the last meeting. I would request that we take it by consent. So for permit RR 2935551, which was previously announced at the February 4th meeting, they have been in contact to indicate that they are going to file a renewal. While they should have done that between the prior announcement and today's date, I would ask that we add it to the next item on the agenda, the permits to be made inactive on March 4th, 2025, and give them a final opportunity to submit that, what is now a delinquent application, but to submit that.
So that takes our permits down to 41, correct?
Correct. Can we take that by consent?
Consent.
Okay, I will show that by consent, so that takes it to 41 permits to be made inactive that were previously announced at the February 4th, 2025 meeting. There a motion?
I move that we, inactivate the 41 permits listed, for us, and made public 2/4 of 25.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, that is now 15 permits that we are announcing today to be made inactive on the March 4th, 2025 meeting. And I would ask that if there are permits on that list, that are going to be renewed, that those renewal applications be filed prior to March 4th, 2025. Policy adoptions, we have a revised copy of non-rule policy number 24. This covers what would be considered a complete application for purposes of accepting. We are regularly struggling with our current staffing and funding, how to manage the volume of incomplete applications. Unfortunately, what we're seeing are unsigned applications, applications that, including renewal applications that skip the required questions, applications that come in without a county verification form for a new, well, I guess that would be a new application, but our processors are spending several hours every week that is causing delays on processing complete applications with the incomplete applications. So that's the explanation of how we got here. We did put this out for comment. We received one written comment that has been incorporated into the amended version. So I will open that for discussion or a motion.
Yeah, just note that the, comment that we got was just a technical change really, to the non-rule policy. And, commend, staff on doing this, update to the non-rule policy. I totally think it is needed. We don't have a system in place where we can track all these, so they're manually doing a lot of processes, currently. And we do need, more complete applications coming in from the beginning, so we don't have all this back and forth. So I think it's a good update to our non-rule policy, and I'm gonna move that we, adopt the new, non-rule policy 24.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Announcements, I would just note the 2025 amended public meeting dates. There's one in May and one in September that have been moved. We will not have escrow hearings in December. Those will be handled on the January 2026 escrow agenda. Not seeing any other items on the agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks.